Good morning, and welcome to this edition of Ask the Advocate, your workplace and employment questions answered in 3 minutes or less. Kimberly J. from Minnesota writes, I'd like to help my employees with the healing process as a result of the trauma that we've all experienced with the events of the George Floyd murder and now the conviction of Officer Derek Chauvin. What tips can you give us so that we can begin the healing process? Very good question, Kimberly. Number one, the world and also the United States have been riveted on the traumatic events associated with the videotaping of a murder of George Floyd, a private citizen in Minneapolis. Additionally, we've been re-traumatized by reliving the events again through the Derek Chauvin trial. And while there is a guilty conviction that's out there, the hard work of the healing process must now begin. With that said, what you can do with your employees is number one, never minimize or trivialize anyone's trauma. People have their own set of experiences that they've had throughout their life, whether it's in childhood or whether it's in adulthood. And trauma is really associated with things that you don't ordinarily see or ordinarily experience. I would offer that it's not ordinary to see someone killed by videotape and see it on videotape. It's not ordinary. These are extraordinary events. And so for those of us who witnessed that and for those who were there in person, it creates a set of vulnerable emotions that oftentimes are uncontrollable. It's also a misnomer to think that you can look at someone, you can tell if they have gone through trauma. So number one, don't minimize or trivialize anyone's experience and think that they have not gone through trauma, because many people have, and many of us have gone through that trauma. Number two, you can encourage them to journal their feelings, their emotions, and their experiences, and moreover, talk with a group of trusted advisors, whether it's friends or colleagues, etc., about what they are experiencing. Suffering in silence and not having a place to deposit your feelings and emotions won't help you in the healing process. So encourage them to journal and also to speak openly with trusted advisors, friends, colleagues, etc. Point number three, I strongly encourage you to encourage your employees to either seek out the services of a licensed clinical psychologist or therapist, either on a one-on-one visit, or you can bring in a crisis manager, a licensed clinical psychologist or therapist who can help your work group process the trauma and experiences that they've gone through. We are still living in a COVID-19 pandemic world, and that's created a set of trauma. We hear every week about mass shootings, either in workplaces or public places, and that's created a sense of vulnerability amongst us. And now reliving the events of what happened to George Floyd have kind of rekindled that sense of unease. And now the tough work of healing has to begin. So, in recap, don't minimize or trivialize your employees' trauma. It's just as unique as it is to them. Number two, encourage them to journal or talk about their experiences and their feelings with trusted advisors or journal them for their private use. And number three, invite a crisis manager or a trauma specialist or licensed clinical psychologist to come in and speak to your group to allow them an outlet to process their trauma and begin the healing process. And that's it, and that's all, Kimberly J. from Minnesota. Your workplace and employment questions answered in 3 minutes or less. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Leave any questions you have in the comment section below, and we will answer your questions on the next episode of Ask the Advocate. Your workplace and employment questions answered in 3 minutes or less. Thank you.